Guess what? I've been doing this for past 3 years.
Yeah, and I think the first one I saw, you were really boring in it.
Yeah, thanks. That's why I hired you.
I mean, I don't mind that you were wrong, because you actually were wrong on just about everything, because you never know. But it's the fact that you're into production and whatnot, and you didn't put any thought into how, compelling you'd be.
I'm so glad you believe in my career.
You could edit this out.
No. In the entire 3 years I've been doing this, I am, if you want to look at this generously, I am 10-23 on predictions.
You know what? If I were doing the predictions alongside of you, I don't think I would have a better record. And it's because of my failure as a predictionist, a guy who predicts, that I don't ever bet on anything more than a chipwich. Yep. To me, a chipwich is like my Bitcoin. Okay, if I have one, awesome. And I'm only willing to part with one.
2020-2021 playoffs are just around the corner. As of recording, there's only one game in flux, and that is the Washington and Giants. Who's getting in?
Washington Eagles are playing.
Yeah.
And they're playing in that hellhole called Philadelphia.
Yeah, so
we didn't have the budget to zoom in Bill Burr to tell us what he thinks about a football game taking place in his favorite city of all. So we'll just say that it's Philly.
Fuck all of you and fuck the Liberty Bell. Shove it up Ben Franklin's ass. What do you think about that? All of you motherfuckers, I hope that bridge collapses onto your pathetic lives. Go fuck yourselves. 6 minutes left, and I will be selling my CD after this shit, you motherfuckers.
Awesome. So we're going to start with the AFC.
Yes, please.
Ravens and Texans. Now, they've had recent history with each other. Obviously, last year, Ravens goose-egged. Well, not really goose-egged, but laid an egg against the Titans. Derrick Henry is a monster. All hail King Henry. Long may he reign. They played this year, and it was a lot more closer, but Titans edged out 30-24. Now, that was when the Ravens were obviously on a slump.
Yes.
And the Titans were looking strong, but these past few games, they haven't been really clicking that much. I think they're losing steam.
I agree. I think that the Titans they got off to a great start. They had a little mini slump, and they've just kind of been fluttering their way into the playoffs. The fact that they let the Texans put up 38 on them, or 38 on them today, is not good. Add into the fact that Baltimore put 404 yards on the ground today. I know it was against Cincinnati, but that's like, high school football, 404 yards when you have like an all-world back. You're up
against the team that's only known for like basketball.
Yeah, that they had several backs and they piled on 404 yards on an NFL team. I mean, I know the Bengals' record was terrible, but there's still NFL caliber athletes out there that got steamrolled. So
yeah, and they beat the Steelers. So.
Well, we'll get to those guys later. I don't think Tennessee's got that swagger. Yes, Henry put up a lot of yards. Yes, they had a big win. Yes, they win the division. But Baltimore is on the way up. If you put their season in like a curve, they are definitely on the way up. They are peaking. They're playing as well as they possibly could. So I'm going to put Baltimore down for that one in that first game.
I'm probably going to have to say Baltimore as well.
Probably, so you have time to warm out of it.
Oh yeah, well, no, I'm not gonna. No, I'm always ready to be proven wrong. I mean, there's no proof of it, but, yeah. So speaking of the Steelers, next up there, it's a repeat of this week, Browns and Steelers. Now this week, Steelers were without. Let me get the list. Ben Roethlisberger, Pouncey, Hayward. TJ Watt, couple other minor guys on the defensive line.
Plus, you also are missing two big defensive losses for season-ending injuries with
Bush and
Dupree. Dupree getting the franchise tag this year, so that's how valuable he was to the team. Yes, today's game it's not a feel-good day for a Pittsburgh fan. As you can see, I'm decked out in Steelers garb. I got a T-shirt on here, but I'm not going to lift it up and show you because you might see some dad belly. But it wasn't a good day for Pittsburgh fans because it was like, we got kind of pushed around, and then, we're going to try to win it at the end. That is not a good formula for playoff football. It worked last week with your starters against Indianapolis. Did not work this week with a team like Cleveland, who had everything to gain from winning. I'm not saying that the Steelers didn't want or didn't try, But what I've seen in the last few weeks with the full complement of Steeler weapons has been just not quite in sync. They got 11 wins in the first 11 games, and then they've just kind of fumbled around, and it feels like preseason the way they're trying to feel each other out. So part of me is thinking that Cleveland might I don't say shock the world. That'd be offensive, and next thing I know, Baker Mayfield is making fun of me. But I think that Cleveland will pull off the less likely win against Pittsburgh next week. And I know it is at Pittsburgh, but there really is no home field advantage because you're going to have, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 fans in the stadiums if Pittsburgh even allows that. But I'm going to contradict what I had said earlier in the family room, and I'm saying I don't want it to happen, but Cleveland wins.
Because Cleveland is only a 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh.
That's the travel is not a big deal.
It's practically a home game for Cleveland as well.
It's a division rivalry. I think it'll be a good game, but I think it'll be frustrating for those Steeler fans who got used to the 11-0 start.
Yeah.
And the 12-4 finish.
Yeah.
So 11-0, 1-4. Pittsburgh dad is going to lose his mind next week. He's like, oh, of course they lost. And yins and this and that. Yeah. But, we got to the playoffs, which we hadn't been there in this would have been the third. But, 2 years of no playoffs, and we're in, and I just don't think it's going to be a feel-good day for me. So I will medicate myself with food, maybe some shrimp, maybe some desserts. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to say Cleveland.
Yeah. Now, the Steelers' run defense is middle of the pack. I'm being generous here.
Middle of the pack. All of a sudden becomes bottom of the pack for the playoff teams.
Perfect. You'd think.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they're going to get them. Baker threw it all across the yard today, more than he usually does. I mean, Nick Chubb had 100 rushes, had 12 rushes for 100 yards, maybe more.
It was about 18 for 100, yeah. So he had a really good day. He cracked off that 45-yarder where it just looked like, we had no idea.
I mean, but then after that, he was kind of more contained a little bit.
Yeah, because they worked in a lot of Kareem Hunt.
I think this can go either way, but I think getting TJ back, Cameron Hayward back, putting them back on the D-line, I think that's going to edge them out. I think the Steelers are going to get at least past the first round.
I want to be wrong. I want next week's video for you to rub it in my face, do a dance, whatever you got to do. But, here's one where we disagree.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong.
Yep. Next up for the AFC, the Colts and Bills. I think this has the potential to be a barn burner or one-sided.
This needs to be the primetime game. The Steelers game needs to be
like a 1.
The 1 o'clock game, and
a nice starter.
A nice starter, and then what you need is an alcohol-fueled dinner in front of the TV because it's going to be an absolute fight with Baltimore and the Titans, and then prime time, 8 o'clock start or whatever it's going to be, 8:20. You're going to want that insane game. I think Baltimore is very underrated. I think everyone talks about Phillip Rivers, but if Phillip Rivers is good, that running game is key. If that running game is not there, then they're done. They're dead in the water. Yeah. And I think Buffalo is probably the team to beat right now. I think this is going to be an excellent game. I think Josh Allen is really going to open up a lot of eyes because not many people have seen him. He had maybe 1 or 2 primetime games this year. But I think Buffalo, in the end, is going to pull away. It's not going to look close in the final box score, but for at least 3 quarters, it's going to be a really good game. So if you got to go to bed early, you can when the fourth quarter starts. But Buffalo.
I think the Colts suffer from the same problem that the Steelers do. Aging vet from 2004. They want to be the hero. And it's going to be a late game interception. Phillip Rivers is more known for that more than Big Ben, right. But they still suffer from the same problem.
You talk about that being a hero and being an aging quarterback. The lesson that not many people took to heart is the lesson of John Elway. John Elway came in, they had to have special machines, like, pitching machine, you throw batting practice, you just put it in the slot. They had that for wide receivers too, but they had to amp up the speed because Elway was throwing so hard and the receivers couldn't get used to it. So they're catching faster passes. So Elway was always just trying as hard as he could to carry the team. And what did it get him? It got him crushed in the Super Bowls. It wasn't until he had a reliable running game in the Terrell Davis years where he got those back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Yeah, Elway still did his thing, but the run game was the focus. Troy Aikman, good quarterback, but he's Matt Ryan without Emmitt Smith. And Matt Ryan, good guy, good quarterback, ain't got no rings. Goes to a running game. If that running game can go, then Phillip Rivers can have a good day. If it's going to fall on Phillip Rivers' shoulders, almost like every other time when it falls on someone's shoulders, throwing the ball, it's eventually going to get away from it. Like you said, late game picks, forcing it, trying to be a hero. Remember John Elway. Get your running backs. Get that running game going. Get your top runner over 100 yards. Get that other guy 50, 60, 70 yards when they give him a spell. And then you know what? Phillip Rivers can throw for 250, 2-3 scores, whatever. But you need that running game to set it up.
Okay. So thanks for your input. We're only doing the wild card round.
Yeah, we're not breaking up the whole playoffs because
but,
what if a quarterback blows his knee out next weekend? We should be able to redo our divisional round.
So join us next week. Hopefully happier or distraught, depending on which way games go. As of right now, kickoff for the Washington football team was 8 minutes ago. So
they're probably losing already.
I'll
Oh, not to Philly. Oh, they're even worse.
Oh, they're even worse. No, I'll add something in to see what happened. But yeah, join us next week when we break down the divisional round.